Hello, good morning, welcome back. Last class we did pointers to strings, we did one program on that, and then pointers and functions. We also did that there are two ways to use pointers with functions. They are called by reference or pass by reference, and we are yet to do pass by address. But we also did pass by value, that is how many ways can we pass arguments to a function. We can pass by value, by reference, and by address, but then pointers are used when we do it by reference and by address. So we also went through what is by reference, the advantages of it, and we wrote a program, the same program, by passing it by value mechanism as well as reference mechanism. We wrote the output, compared it, and saw how is it different. So now we will go through the reference thing again so that we can relate it to the yesterday's program and it is easy to understand many things. Now the reference variable is the one that you declare by attaching an operator. Yes, if you have last class we did it wherein I said int ampersand x comma int ampersand y as the formal parameters. In the definition of the function, in declaration I have written int ampersand and int ampersand. So this is the declaration and this is the definition, that is int ampersand y, when I was passing two arguments to it. Okay. And when the function is invoked using reference parameter, it's the memory address of the argument, not the value of it as pass. That we established by swapping, by writing a program to swap two values of two variables, wherein x was 5 and y was 10, and we printed those before the function call, then in the function, that is in the called function, as well as after the function call. So by value what happened is before the function call and after the function call values remained the same, only in function it changed the values. So it means that the whatever changes you make in the called function will not be reflected in the calling function because a copy of it is made, not the original address. Whereas in reference, the value reflected everywhere, that is once you change the value of it in the called function, the value is also reflected in the calling function because you pass the address, memory address of it. So any change made in that memory address is automatically reflected everywhere. Now hope you understand this statement. Based on that program you can relate it to that, you can know the output of that. Based on that output you can do it, like you can understand this better. Next is advantages. We went through this yesterday only. Like see, the arguments are not copied to new variables because I am passing the address of it. So when I am passing the address I don't have to create a copy. But for value, yes, when you say pass by value you create a copy. That is why only the changes you made in the copy will not be reflected in the original. That is like example I can give you. You create a Xerox of a document and you have an original, you make changes to the Xerox but the original remains the same. Whereas in reference you pass the original document only, so whatever changes you make to that is reflected. Fine. A function can return only one value, yes. If it's an expression also, the expression is evaluated and then the result of it is sent. But then there we sent the values of x and y, both had change values. By reference means when you make changes for multiple variables in their memory of locations, automatically it is reflected. A function can change the value of an argument and change is reflected in the calling function. This also we established. So the advantages I think makes more sense to you now rather than it made sense yesterday in the beginning of the class. Please go through this again so that it will be easy to understand. Then we'll start with by address. We did not do address yesterday. We did only by value and by reference. So what happens in this address? In this type of function call, instead of passing values, address of actual parameters are passed to the function. Yes, by reference also we pass the address. By address also we pass the address. Here the formal parameters must be declared as pointers. So in reference what I did is, I did sum, for example, in sum int ampersand x. If I do it by reference, by address I should say in sum int star x, because I need to have it as a pointer. This is not a pointer, this is a pointer. Fine. And while passing from main, what did I do for the first one? I just said sum of, suppose x is 10. I can do this sum of x, which is nothing but, here it gets, this is the function call, whereas if I have to call this function, I need to write it as ampersand x. The address has to be passed to the pointer. So the address of the actual arguments are copied to the formal arguments. Okay. There, even though they are referenced in different variable names, yes, I can have this as y also. Only thing is the data type and the number should match the name. Whether it's same or different, it doesn't matter. So in reference, what I did was ampersand x was the formal parameter here, and in the calling function I just passed x here, whereas here I declared it as a formal argument as a pointer star x, and then I need to pass ampersand of the variable so that it gets copied to the pointer and then it executes. So please go through this again. Then we'll write the same program. I will use the by address mechanism. So the syntax, how is it different? The output would be same, but how you can use it in a different way, like how is it different, I will tell you. So we did this yesterday, now let me do this program, that is a C++ program to exchange the value of two variables by pass by address mechanism. Please make the note of the statement here, that is a C++ program to exchange the value of two variables, by pass by address mechanism. How do I do that? I'll start with hash include statements. Hash include iostream.h, hash include conio.h. Let me declare the function. See, when I say bottom-up approach, you can declare and define the function, or at least the declaration of the function should be there before main. So let me declare it and let me write the function after main. So I will say void swap by address and int star comma int star. So this is my function declaration. When I say int star comma int star, it means that the formal parameters are two pointers of the type integer. Yesterday by reference I had declared it as int ampersand and int ampersand. When you are passing by address, it has to be a pointer as a formal parameter. So I am having int star and int star, which states that I am going to pass from the calling function to the called function to memory locations, basically, of which points to a integer location. And then the swap by address is the name of the function which does not return any value. After that, let me continue with my void main function. So let me say clear screen int x comma y. So let see out, enter the values of x and y. C in x, C in y. So this is cascading of input operators. So what am I doing here? I'm having a function declaration here which says that the name of the function is swap by address, to which I'm going to pass 2 pointers, and it is not going to return any value. After that, you have void main clear screen int x comma y. This is the declaration of two integer variables x and y, and I'm asking the user to enter the values of x and y, and I'm taking in the values of x and y. Please make a note so that we can continue with our main. Once main is done, let me write the function. After this, let me say cout the value of x and y before the function call okay. Then the function call so cout the value of x and y after the function call So see here, swap by address ampersand x and ampersand y. Yeah, 2 pointers. I cannot just send a value. You need to send a reference. Otherwise it gives you error. That we have done in the beginning of the lecture only. Since the formal parameters are pointers, I need to pass the reference. I am passing ampersand x, that is the ampersand x means the address of x, and ampersand y is the address of y. This is the function call. So what we did, the value of x and y before the function call, I am printing the value of x and y as entered by the user. Then what am I doing? I am having a function call, that is swap by address is the name of the function, and I am passing two reference like ampersand x and ampersand y, two arguments. And then after the function gets executed, once it returns back to the calling function the value of x and y after the function call, and again I'm printing the value of x and I'm printing the value of y. So this ends my main. Please make a note of this. Now let me start with my swap by address function. So I will say void by, so int star x int star y, I will say int temp, a normal variable. So temp is equal to star x, which is nothing but the value of x, that is value of the in the location to which x is pointing to would be stored in temp. Then I can say value of that is equal to y, that is the value is replaced by the value to which y is pointing to. Then I can say star y is equal to temp, and then see out the value of x and y in the function swap by address, that is please make a note of this function. I'll say temp is equal to star x is equal to star y is equal to temp. See out the value of the variables x and y in the function swap by address. So x is equal to star x, y is equal to star y. If I say x and y, it will print me the memory location. Star x and star y will print me the value in that location. So this completes my program itself because I have already written my main. Please make a note of this, then we'll continue with the output so that we'll be able to understand how it works. So let me write the output. What was the main was there? Then I declared two integer variables x and y. I asked the user to enter the value of x and enter the value of y. For example, as a user, I entered 5 for x and y is equal to 10. Okay. These are the values I have given it to my x and y. When the user asked, when you execute the program, you are asked to enter the values of x and y. I will, as a user, enter x is equal to 5 and y is equal to 10. So the first statement is the values of x and y before function call. What was it? X like this and 5, the value of x, y 10. So this is there. After that, the function call was there. Again in the function also I am printing the values, right? The value after interchanging. See, after the swap I have the statement, because before the swap if I have, it will print me 5 and 10 only. After the swap I have this, the value of x and y in the function swap by address. Then x is 10, y is 5. Yes, because I have swapped, and then again the control comes back to main, and in main also I have the value of x and y after the function call. X is 10 and y is 5. So can you see the output? Once it gets swapped in the called function, it automatically is reflected everywhere in the calling function also. So both by reference and by address it gets changed, because I will basically send the memory location of it. Only by value it will not change. But then In reference, what did I do? How did I call the function? By reference, what did I do? For example, swap is the function. I just say x comma y in the calling function. Okay, function call in calling function. And how was the function header? Swap int ampersand x int ampersand y. This was the function header. Next, by address, what would I do? I should say ampersand x comma ampersand y in the function call in calling function. And how was the function header? Swap int star x comma int star y. This is how it was. Written type, we can write it down. This is not the program I am writing. I am just telling you the difference. By reference, how the function call and the function header differs, and by address how it differs, but then the output would be same, because any changes you make, it will be reflected everywhere. Hope you have understood by value, by reference, and by address, and how we can make use of pointers in address as well as reference. Please have a look. Now we'll start with pointers and structures. So what is a structure? It is a heterogeneous set of data under one name, right? We have done structures. We did structures in chapter 5. Like we did structures and array of structures. We did have a student database using structures. Same way, a pointer, since structure is a user defined data type, we all know that structure is a user defined data type, a pointer can hold the address of a structure also. The pointer variable in association with a structure data type is very much used when we do data structures. The next, once we complete C++, we'll be starting with our data structures using C++. In that, we'll be using structures to create linked list, doubly linked list, and binary trees. So we can use pointers with the structure data type in creating the linked list, doubly linked list, and binary trees. So you know where it can be used. So pointer can also hold the address of a user defined data type called structures. So what we'll do is, we'll see what is a structure, and with the help of a structure variable, access the members of a structure. Yes, structure variable dot. So I will tell you normally with a normal one how does it work, and if it is a pointer, there are two methods of using it, and what are those, and we'll write a program based on that. See here, this is how I declare a pointer to a structure. For example, if it was the same thing without a pointer, suppose I have to write struct std. For example, the name of the structure is std. I'll say int roll number and char name. Okay, this is my structure, and I will say std1. And if I have to access it, that is C in std1 dot roll number. This is how I do with a normal variable. Suppose if it's a structure variable, how do I do that? The same thing will be there. Struct std, I will say int roll number char name of 30 and then std star std1. So that star is something which is a pointer. So now using this, I can access the members of a structure in two ways. Method 1 is star std1 dot the member name, that is roll number, or I can say std1 arrow the roll number. So these are the two ways to access the members of a structure using pointer to structures. So how do I define it? The normal one, I will say std1 semicolon, then scene std1 dot the roll number. There are no methods. I use the structure variable dot the member name if it's a normal one. But if the same thing is a pointer, first while declaring std1, I need to write star std1 here, which means that the structure variable is a pointer. After that, using the pointer to access the members, I can have two methods, either star the pointer variable dot the member name, or directly without star the pointer variable arrow the member name. These are the two methods to invoke it. This is the general structure of this general syntax of the structure. Structure syntax does not differ, only it can either point a normal variable, a structure variable can point, or a pointer. You can have a pointer to a structure, but the syntax of a structure does not change. That is data type member name 1 semicolon data type member name 2. So the data type, you can have heterogeneous set of data under one name, and struct is the keyword which declares it as a structure, and structure name, struct name is a user defined name wherein you need to follow all the rules when you are naming an identifier. Please go through this. Hopefully you have understood my explanation here. So let me write again if I have to use structure. For example, struct std, what will I do? I'll say, for example, int roll number is there. Okay, so I'll say std star std1 as a structure variable. To access this, I can have two methods. Method 1 is star std1 dot roll number, or 2 is std1 arrow the member name. This is how I can have two methods using a pointer. But normal, if it is not a pointer, you only use the dot variable, that is roll number std1 dot the roll number. This is how, if it's a normal, but if it's a pointer, you have two methods through which you can access. Now when we write a program, you will be able to understand it in a better way. Let us write a program to print the date of birth of the user along with his name. Fine. The program is to print the date of birth of the user along with his name. Using structure, first of all we need to declare a structure and then make a pointer. Point to that, and using that let me access it. So I'll start my program, and C++ supports standalone structures. Fine. So I will write a standalone structure, and in main only I will ask the user to enter the data and print it. So hash include iostream.h okay. Then structure is declared using the keyword struct, and it has to be in lowercase. Struct, let me say user DOB, user date of birth, okay. Then I will say char, because you need to write the name as well as the date of birth. Char name of 40 characters length, then int dd YY, okay, or I can say int dd int and int YY, okay, in a new line. After that, u star u1. u1 is my this one and structure variable, and I am putting a star here, that is star u1, that is struct user DOB char name, then int dd int int YY, that is my end of my structure, and star u1 is my structure variable and it is a pointer, that is why it is star u1. This is a standalone structure, which means that it is not a part of any function. Like before main, I will be writing it. Please make a note of this, then I can continue with my main. Fine. Struct user DOB is the name. User DOB is my structure name. It has a user name, like name is a variable of maximum 40 characters length, and then int dd int and int YY. So you make a note of this, and star u1 is the structure variable, a pointer which is pointing to the. Now let me start writing my main. So you have hopefully you have noted down the structure. How do I write my main? Void main. Yeah. So now I have to clear screen. Ask the user, because I am going to print the username along with his date of birth. So I will say cout enter your name, okay, enter cin. Let me use the method 1 for taking in the values and method 2 to print. It is not compulsory to use this one of the methods or both the methods. You can use whichever method you want. Just to show how both the methods can be used, what I am going to do is I am taking in the values using method 1, and then I will print the values using method 2. So star u1 was my structure variable, which was a pointer, dot name, yes, was the variable which I declared in the structure. Cout enter date of birth in dd and YY format, okay. Cin, so I'll say star u1 dot dd cin star u1 dot cin star u1 dot YY. So I am taking in the values of the name and I am accessing the structure wherein the name was a part of the structure. dd, YY also were part of the structure, and it was the type integer and name was a character array or a string. So this is method 1 is star pointer dot the structure member, right? So I'm saying star u1 dot name star u1 dot dd star un dot mm and star u1 dot yy. So I'm taking in the name and the date of birth of the user. Please make a note. Then I need to print the name of the user along with his date of birth. That was the program what we were writing. Now we'll continue our main. So I will say cout endl user details. Endl cout. So I'll say name, username, so how will I write that? U1 was the structure variable, arrow name. Yeah, name of the, like I'm accessing the structure variable name which will hold the user's name, because when I ask the user to enter his name, I have taken in whatever the user entered and stored it in the variable name of the structure std user, right, of the structure user. Now what will I do? Cout date of birth. Let me have an endl here. Okay, date of birth. I will not have an endl there. So u1 dd u1 mm u1 yy. So I'm printing the date of birth. Yeah, date of birth, and then first the user details would be printed, endl, then user name. In the new line, user name would be printed as it is, and then u1 arrow name. So I am trying to access that using an arrow, date of birth, then it would be printed as it is, u1 dd. So whatever is your date of birth, the day, then this dash would be there, then u1 arrow mm, then it will print the month, and then the bar, and then u1 arrow yy. This is how I will be printing the output. Please make a note of this. This completes our program. We'll continue with pointers and objects. We did pointers and strings, pointers, function arguments, and pointers and structures, and now it is pointers and objects. So we all know what is an object. Object is an instance of a class. If you want to access the data of the class, whether it's a member function or the data member, depending on the visibility mode, yeah, you can access it. Where it can be accessed depends on the visibility mode. So if you want to access the members of a class, you need to create an object. When you create an object, memory would be allocated for the class, and you can have more than one object for a class. And how do I create an object? Class name space the object name. But then pointers can also point to objects. That is, a pointer to an object of a class variable can be accessed. Like, see, you can make a pointer point to objects, and again two ways of accessing the data. That is star pointer variable name dot the member function, and object pointer variable name arrow the member function. The same way as the If I have to use star, then I need to use, if I have to use dot, I need to use a star. Otherwise, directly with an arrow, I can make use of it. Fine. Please make a note of this. Then we'll write a program to create a class which takes in the student details such as registration number and name and print the same. Fine. But then using pointer to object. Please have a look at this and make a note of the statement. So, a C++ program to access the members of an object using a pointer. Fine. So, let me start my program. My program is I'll create a class student, and then I will store the registration number and name of the student, and I will print it. It's a very simple program, but then I'll be using pointers. Hash include iostream.h hash include conio.h. After that, what do? I need to create a class, right? Class student. So, private. If I don't specify anything, also it is private. Class is a keyword. Student is the name of the class. Fine. In the private, I have int roll number and char name of 30 characters length. After that, in public, let me have void input is one function, void display is another function, and I'm closing my class here. So these two are the data members, and these two are the member functions of my class. So this is my class, yeah, and it is terminated by a semicolon. So I have a class with two data members and two member functions. The data members are roll number and name, and member functions are input and display, and both does not take any arguments, and I have not written any arguments. So this is my class. Now I will define these two outside. Please make a note of this. So after that, I will write the definition of display as well as input functions. How do I start writing that? Void, that is the written type of the function, to the name of the class to which it belongs to. Student, scope resolution operator, name of the function. So I will say cout, enter your roll number, yeah, cin roll number, cout, enter your name, cin name. This is the end of my input function, wherein I am asking the user to enter the roll number. I am taking in the roll number, and then I am asking the user to enter the name, and I am taking in the name. So this is my input function of the student class. Please make a note. Then we'll write the display function of the student class. So how do I write the display function? Return type of the function, name of the class to which it belongs to, scope resolution operator, and name of the function. I will say cout and L student details. Okay, so student details would be printed, and before and after a new line is inserted. Cout roll number, so what am I doing? Student details would be printed, and then a roll number list will be explicitly printed, and whatever is the roll number entered by the user in the input function would be printed here. Then student name would be printed, and whatever is the name which the user enters in the input function gets printed here. This is the end of my display function. So I have my class, I declared two functions inside, and I defined it outside. So this is the end of my class. Now I need to write my main, and there I need to create an object. Then only memory would be allocated for the class, and with the help of the object only I can call the input and the display function. So I can call the input and display because they were declared in the public section of the class, and it is accessible outside. Please make a note of this. Now let me start with my main. Void main. So clear screen. After that, how do I create an object? I create an object student. This is the name of my class, and star std is my object. I am using star here because creating a pointer object. Fine, pointer to an object. Fine. Then I need to call my two functions, std arrow input and std arrow display. Yeah. Then get ch end of my main. So with an arrow operator, I am accessing the function, that is I am calling the function using the arrow operator. Yes, please have a look. This is a pointer variable pointing to an object of the class student. This is pointer variable pointing to an object of class student. Yes, after that I use that one to call both my functions, std input, arrow input, and std arrow display. Since it's a pointer variable, I use arrow. Otherwise, how I used to do, it's a normal one, I used to use dot. So please have a look. So we completed strings, pointers with strings, functions, arrays, structures, and objects. we are left with this pointer and memory allocation, which is static and dynamic memory allocation, which would complete the pointers chapter. So please make a note of the homework question. The first question is, what is the relationship between pointers and strings? Give an example. Second question, explain pointers and structures with an example. Explain pointers The third question, what is the relationship between pointers and objects? Give an example. Please make a note of this. Hopefully you have understood today's class. Tomorrow we'll be completing with pointers chapter, and if time permits, we'll start with the last chapter of C++, that is data and file handling. So once that is done, we would be completing with your 39 marks syllabus of theory and 15 marks of practical syllabus. So stay safe, take care, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.